Have you ever felt like you've been moving but never actually arriving anywhere? You've started things, you've tried things, but when you look back, most of them are somewhere in the middle, half finished, half tried, half committed. The language app you used for 3 weeks, the side project that's still in a folder somewhere, the habit you built and then quietly lost. And the strange thing is, you never really decided to stop any of them. There was no moment, no, I give up. You just didn't go back. One day became a few days became a month, and by the time you noticed, it was already over. And at some point, you get tired of that version of yourself. You want to be someone who actually finishes things, someone who says they're going to do something, and does it. Not because it looks good, just because you're exhausted from being the person who keeps starting over. That's what this video is about. Section 0. The real cost. Picture yourself standing at the edge of a forest. 20 paths going in different directions, and on each one, about 3 steps in, your footprints stop. 20 beginnings, 20 moments where something felt real enough to try, but nothing ever went deep enough to become something real. Sit with that image for a second, because from the outside, it looks like you've been busy, you've tried, but being busy and going somewhere are not the same thing, and here's where it gets heavier. Every time that cycle repeats, start, fade, disappear, something quieter happens beneath the surface. Think of it like a bank account, not money, self-trust. Every time you make a commitment to yourself and follow through, you make a deposit. Every time you don't, you make a withdrawal. Small ones at first, easy to ignore, but they add up. At some point, the balance gets low enough that you stop setting goals. Not because you ran out of ambition, because you already know how this ends. You've met the version of you that swears this time is different. You know what they do, so you stop trying, not from laziness, something closer to self-protection. You'd rather not start than start and watch yourself fade out again. Because the cost of starting is no longer just effort, it's the reminder of the last time, and the time before that. That's the real damage, not the missed goals. It's that you've become someone who doesn't fully believe their own word, even to themselves. And you can feel it change over time. The first time you decided to build a new habit, you were genuinely excited. The energy was real. But the 5th time you try to start something similar, that excitement has a ceiling now. You've heard yourself say, this time before. You know what usually happens next. So the energy you once spent on possibility, you now spend on managing the disappointment in advance. Starting something stops feeling like an open door and starts feeling like a test you're not sure you can pass. And it compounds. Every time the cycle repeats, the next attempt costs more to begin and less energy to abandon. The gap between I want to do this and I actually do this quietly widens, until some things you stop trying for entirely. So what is actually happening? Motivation, willpower, discipline. Those are the easy answers. And they're all looking at the symptoms, not the mechanism. Chronic quitting has 5 specific failure points. Each one has a different shape, a different cause, a different fix. And once you know which one you're hitting, the problem looks very different than it did before. Section 1. Wrong reason to start. The first failure point is the reason you started in the first place. Think about how it usually begins. Maybe you watch someone play guitar and there's this moment where you think, I could do that. Not arrogantly, just genuinely. You can picture a version of yourself sitting there, playing something. Or you see someone who speaks another language fluently, just switching between them like it costs nothing, and you think about all the times you said, I should learn Spanish. The idea stays with you for a few days, gets warm, and at some point the feeling is strong enough that you act on it. You sign up, you buy the course, you download the app. Most starting reasons are surface reasons. I want to get in shape. I want to learn something new. I want to build something. These sound like reasons, but they're really just directions. And when it gets hard, when you're tired, when progress is invisible, when the gap between what you imagined and what you're actually producing starts to show, a direction isn't strong enough to hold you. A direction gives you no answer to, why am I still doing this? Here's what's actually happening when people quit in week 2 or 3. The excitement that was doing the heavy lifting has run out, and underneath it, there's nothing. No cost to stopping. No real reason the goal matters specifically to you, specifically right now, so you stop. And it doesn't even feel like a decision. The fix is to go deeper before you begin. Ask why 7 times. Start with your stated reason and keep peeling until you hit something that costs something to abandon. Something you can feel, not just name. That's the real reason. That's the one worth building a commitment around. Because when you have that, I'll skip today has weight to it. And weight changes behavior. Section 2. No protected time. The second failure point is invisible until you've lost to it a few times. When most people start something new, they put it in the leftover space, the hour after work. Sunday morning, when things calm down, the pockets between everything else, and on the surface that seems reasonable. You're not replacing anything, you're just adding. But here's what's happening in those gaps. You're putting a new, fragile, still unfamiliar thing in direct competition with everything that's already established there. Your phone knows that space. Your couch knows that space. Your tiredness has a very strong claim on that space. Those things aren't bad. They're just already there, already familiar, already easy to say yes to. And your brain, especially when it's tired, doesn't pick the most important thing. It picks the path of least resistance. The thing that feels most justified, most earned. You worked today. Checking your phone is fine. Watching something is fine, but working on the new thing, the one with no visible results yet, the one that's still uncomfortable, that one needs a fresh decision every time. And things that need a fresh decision every time will eventually lose. What works is removing the decision. Give the thing a real time, not leftover time, a protected block, and during that block, treat it like the most important thing happening, not forever, just in that window. Tell your brain, in this hour, nothing else is higher priority. Your brain learns from what you actually do, not from what you intend. Give it enough evidence that this time matters, and it stops feeling like something you might skip. It starts feeling like part of the day, and things that feel like part of the day are very hard to quietly abandon. Section 3. Info hunting trap. The third failure point is the one that feels most like responsibility. Before you start, you want to understand what you're getting into. That's reasonable. So you watch a few videos, read some posts, find a forum with people who've been doing this for years, then a course, then a book the course mentioned, then a YouTube channel that goes even deeper. 6 weeks later, you know more about this thing than 90% of people who actually do it. And you haven't done any of it. What's actually happening underneath that? Part of it is genuine. When you're standing at the beginning of something unfamiliar, your mind starts generating real questions. What if I hit something I can't handle halfway through? What if I waste months going in the wrong direction? These aren't irrational. They're reasonable things to wonder, and your brain, trying to be helpful, arrives at a logical conclusion. Get more information first. Know the terrain before you walk into it. But there's something else running underneath the logic. A quieter fear. The fear of starting and discovering you're not as capable as you hoped. Of sitting down to actually do the thing and finding out you're bad at it. As long as you're still in the preparation phase, that discovery hasn't happened yet. You haven't failed. You haven't even started, so there's nothing to be disappointed by. And preparation has its own momentum, its own sense of progress. That's the trap. You've confused hunting with farming. Hunting gives you something immediately. The hit of new information. The feeling of moving forward. Farming gives you nothing for a long time, and then it gives you everything. The skill you're trying to build is a farm, and every hour you spend hunting is an hour the farm sits untouched, while you feel productive enough to not notice. Here's what nobody really says about being a beginner. The bad attempts aren't a cost you pay before the real work starts. They are the real work. No amount of knowing gets you around them. The only way out is through. Start before you feel ready. Not because preparation doesn't matter, but because you will never feel ready before starting. And waiting for that feeling is just a slower way to not begin. Section 4. The ugly midpoint. The fourth failure point is simple. At some point, it gets hard. Not complicated hard, just slow, unglamorous, unrewarding hard. The beginning had energy. Something new always does. But that energy has a shelf life. And when it runs out, you're left with just the work itself. No novelty pulling you forward, no visible progress to point to, just you showing up to something that isn't fun yet and isn't good yet. You look at what you made, the sketch, the draft, the code, whatever it is, and there's this quiet disappointment, not a dramatic crash. Just a flat feeling, and underneath it, a thought that starts to form. Maybe I'm just not someone who's good at this. What happens next is that you start questioning whether this was ever a good idea, not as a logical thought, just a feeling, a tiredness that sits on top of the work. You think, maybe this just isn't for me. Maybe I'm not the kind of person who does this. And the more you sit with that feeling, the more it starts to sound like an answer rather than a mood. So you stop. Because continuing starts to feel like arguing with something that's already been settled. What actually helps is to document the ugly. Not for a future, look how far I've come moment, just to have proof that you were here and you kept going anyway. The bad sketch, the draft that doesn't work, the set you barely finished, save those. Because what they prove isn't that you failed, it's that being bad at something is a place you pass through, not a thing you are. And here's something worth understanding about this phase. The difficulty you feel in the middle isn't a signal that something has gone wrong. It's a signal that you're in the part most people leave. Every person who got good at something you admire went through a version of this. The gap between their taste and their output, the sessions that felt pointless, the question of whether it was worth continuing. The struggle isn't evidence that you're not built for this. It's just what the middle looks like. For everyone. The ones who made it through didn't find it easier. They just didn't treat the difficulty as a reason to stop. Section 5. 2 days, not 0. The fifth failure point is the one I mentioned at the very beginning of this video. Most people don't quit dramatically. There's no moment of decision, no declaration, no closing of a door. They just miss a day. Maybe for a reason, maybe for nothing. And the next morning there's this low background feeling, not guilt exactly, more like awareness. The streak broke. You tell yourself you'll do it today. You mean it. Then today has something in it too, and now it's been 2 days. This is the moment worth watching closely, because something shifts on day 2 that doesn't happen on day 1. On day 1, you're a person who missed a day. On day 2, you start becoming a person with a pattern. Your brain is very good at reading patterns. And once it starts updating its model of what this thing means to you, it's hard to reverse without evidence. Day 2 is when the story begins. I've been off this week. I'll reset on Monday. I think I need a break. These aren't decisions. They're the sound of drift being accepted. And drift, left alone, is how most things end. Not with a quit, but with a slow fade that you only recognize weeks later when you find the notebook. The rule is simple. 1 missed day is allowed. 2 is not. Whatever you do on day 2, 5 minutes, 1 set, 1 paragraph, it doesn't have to be your best work. It just has to happen. Because what you're actually doing isn't training the skill. You're training the part of you that decides whether this is still something you do. That part needs evidence more than it needs motivation. Give it some on day 2, and it remembers. The other person who quit, they felt the same resistance you did that morning. They just didn't show up anyway. Final section. Smart quitting versus coward quitting. I want to be honest about something before I close this out. This video isn't here to tell you to never quit. That would be hollow, and you'd feel it. Quitting is sometimes the right call. There are things that genuinely aren't worth continuing. Commitments that took you somewhere wrong, paths that looked right at the start and clearly aren't anymore. Walking away from those things cleanly is wisdom, but there's a difference between quitting as a decision and quitting as a drift. If you're going to quit something, at least know that you're doing it. Know when. Know why. Know what you're choosing instead and why that choice is worth making. Quit because it's a smart use of your resources. Not because it got hard, not because a bad week convinced you it wasn't for you, not because you ran out of the initial excitement that was never going to last anyway. That's smart quitting. It leaves you intact. The other kind, the slow fade, the I'll get back to it, the quitting that happens before you even notice, that's the one that costs you something each time. And if you're somewhere in the middle of something right now, in one of those 5 failure points I talked about, I just want to say this. Be patient with yourself. Be persistent. The hard part you're in is not a sign that you're not built for this. It's just the part that most people leave. Every person who got somewhere stayed through a version of what you're feeling now. Don't let the times you've quit before convince you that quitting is who you are. If this video made you think of something you quietly walked away from, or something you're in the middle of right now, drop it in the comments. I read them. And if you want more of this kind of content, subscribe. New video every week. Same energy as this one.